வணக்கம் நண்பர்களே, நான் உங்கள் கிரிதர். ஸோ போக்கோ இந்த கம்பெனி பத்தி உங்க எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்சதுதான். ஸோ இந்த கம்பெனில சூப்பரான மொபைல் போன்லாம் லான்ச் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்காங்க. ஸோ இன்னைக்கு நம்ம கிட்ட வந்து போக்கோ டீமோட முக்கியமான 2 தலைகள் நம்மளோட சாட்ல இருக்கும். ஸோ அவங்களோட பேசி போக்கோ வந்து என்னதான் செய்யறாங்க, என்னதான் பிளான்ல இருக்காங்க அப்படிங்கறத வந்து நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்குவோம். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து அனுஜ். ஸோ அனுஜ் வந்து இட்ஸ் லாங் டைம் ஃப்ரெண்ட். ஐ மீன் இந்த இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில வந்து நிறைய பேர் எனக்கு தெரியும், பட் ஹி இஸ் பீன் தேர் ஃபார் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் லைக் 7-8 years, I believe, for a long time. And then we have Manmohan. So both of us are, I mean, we have been interacting for quite some time, even before Poco also. So now Poco is there. So அவங்க கிட்ட பேசி போக்கோ என்னதான் செய்யறாங்க அப்படிங்கறத தெரிஞ்சுக்குவோம். வணக்கம் மன்மோகன், வணக்கம் அனுஜ், வெல்கம் டு தி ஷோ.
தேங்க்யூ. எனக்கும் கொஞ்சமா தமிழ் வரும்.
சூப்பர், இதுவே அழகா இருக்கு. நீங்க நம்ம சேனல்ல ஏற்கனவே நீங்க தமிழ்ல பேசியிருக்கீங்க. சோ
ரொம்ப நன்றி.
So I wanted to ask a lot of things about Poco, right? So but before we start, I mean I'll give you a couple of minutes to introduce. I mean I already introduced, but you can introduce yourself and then get it started.
Sure. Anuj, you want to go first?
I'll start. So yeah, I'm Anuj, and like Giri said, been there in the industry for quite some time. Interestingly, I joined the smartphone industry because I was just excited about phones, and my basic idea at that point was that I get to play with all the new phones, and that actually became a reality. So even today, I get to play with all the new phones, and that is fun for me. Right now with Poco, I'm the country director, and also looking at the overall business and see what we can do going forward.
Hi everyone, my name is Manmohan. I have been with the smartphone industry for the last 4 years now. Have had experience across 2 brands, Xiaomi and now currently Poco. I'm the general manager of Poco in India. Pretty exciting to be here with all of you folks. I mean, yes, Giri has been a very good friend for Poco specifically, giving us a lot of inputs and a lot of feedback so that we could continue our growth journey, if I may, as to how we have tuned ourselves to become a brand which is very, very focused on how customers think about Poco.
So I mean, first I like to start off with a question, like going back on the pages of history, right? So why was Poco as a brand started, and what objective it was started with, and has there been any change in the objective, and what has the evolution been like?
Sure. Cool. So let me take this question up, and it's pretty interesting as to how Poco as a brand started. So to be very honest, it was actually a team within the company. We call ourselves as intrapreneurs, for the lack of a better term. We kind of came together, and at that point in time, we saw this gap that was there in the market, a very wide space which was not actually kind of solved for. Everyone was doing good things on the processor, good things on the camera, good things on the battery, and they were kind of pushing the limits on all the extent, and unnecessarily making the phone too expensive, to be honest, right? And at that point in time, we saw this white space that there were these customers who were just focused on getting a very good smartphone which is focused on performance. So that was the very fair insight with which we got, and because of which the entire culmination was Poco F. So with kind of we started off with that journey, and over the past 1.5 year, now not 1.5 year, now 2.5 years. Sorry, I still am in the start of 2020 right now. For the past 2.5 years, I mean till I think 2019 end, we kind of focused our energy and efforts in trying to understand how the smartphone market is, and then we started realizing that the promise with which we came with Poco F1, that as a promise, many people and different price ranges also wanted, and hence we kind of created this new series, X series, to begin with in February, and that was off to a great start. Today we are the #1 smartphone brand on Flipkart in the segment 15,000 and above, all thanks to Poco X series. Then we went, okay, if Poco X series is good, strong, let's continue exploring more series, and then we launched M series, and today here we are launching the C series. So yeah, the brand philosophy with which we got created is still the same, no changes, but we are exploring a wider price horizon to ensure that what promise we started off with the brand, we are continuing to deliver it across different price ranges.
Cool. I mean, that gives me a lot of perspective and understanding also. Thanks a lot for that. Um, so, Anuj, I have another question for you. But before that, how's life without PUBG?
Yeah. So I'm getting my evening walks now, and no, I mean, of course, gaming has been a big part of whatever I've been doing, and it's overall it's gaming. It's not about one particular title. Uh, Frankly, if I can't play one game, I just move on to the other one.
Obviously,
Uh,
yeah.
so I'm now utilizing my Xbox a lot more than I used to.
Okay.
So net, I think it's pretty much the same.
So, I mean, if you can tell me about the naming, right? I know there was F series, and then we have this X series, then M series, then the C series, especially the numbers, right? F1, then X2, M3, sorry, M2, and then we have the new one. So, how, I mean, what is the thought process behind the naming, and how do you choose this X, M? I mean, is there any insights which you can give to our users, subscribers?
Mancho, this is again a question for you in terms of how you choosing the names. But I will first talk about the importance of having a very differentiated kind of series. What's happening with a lot of brands is you've got say XYZ series going all across, right? So you can buy the XY30 for 25-30,000 rupees, and you have a XY10 for 8,000, which kind of confuses consumers a little bit.
Mm,
So you want to keep it very clean.
mm,
If you see a Poco F, that means you've got a flagship level performance.
mm,
uh, if you see a Poco X, that means you've got upper mid-range performance.
mm,
May not be upper mid-range price. I mean, right now I understand upper mid-range is 25, 27, 28,000 rupees. But a Poco X series will give you that kind of a value, but at a different segment. Then
mm.
you've got your M series, which is where the starting of mid-range starts, and then there is a C series, which is below uh, the mid-range, or essentially the value series.
Okay.
So that way is you're very clear when you see a C, M, X, or a F,
Mhm.
where it stands.
Okay.
Uh, about the names of these, Mancho, do you have a insight into why is it called a M or why is it called an X?
Not, I would like, I don't think there is a, the only reason why we have called a particular series, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds perfectly, right? I mean, I can't think of calling Poco, I don't know, N series. It just doesn't sound right,
Or
right?
a Poco D series?
B series, Poco B series. No, I mean, I don't think there is a specific rationale behind the name, the alphabet as such. But I think the number, there is a specific reason behind that. And I think this comes from probably my previous experience as well, right? The generation of phones, right? I think that is something which we constantly very closely keep our heart to. For example, when X2 launched, that was our second generation of set of phones that we launched together, right? Hence X2, M2, M2 Pro. Then
Okay.
now it is now the third generation we have X3, C3, and if all things go good, maybe M3 as well.
Okay.
That of course we will kind of see how whether there is a reasoning for that product to kind of come in.
Okay. So there is segmentation on the alphabet, and then there is the generation on the number. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. Cool. Got it. So, I mean, people have been waiting for so many mobile phones from Poco, right? But one mobile phone which that no matter what you post a picture from a holiday picture and say, I am in this place. Somebody will ask you, where is Poco F2? This is like second most asked question after why did Katappa kill Bahubali? So,
No, I mean, I think that is very exciting for us, but that also puts a lot of pressure on the team,
Mhm.
because F series has become kind of an idea now, right? That when a Poco F series comes, it will shake up the entire industry. And to hold up that idea obviously is very, very hard. And that requires a lot of iteration, that requires a lot of work.
Mhm.
Uh, Frankly, we haven't really found what the Poco successor to the Poco F1 should be. Uh, there is a product in the global markets called the F2 Pro, but we did not feel that it was the right successor for F1, and especially in India, and especially in 2020. Uh, Sometimes it's okay to wait
Mhm.
uh, and get you the right product rather than compromise and trying to cash in on the hype.
Mhm.
And I think we are okay to wait, put some patience into it, keep working till we get the perfect phone. I definitely want to be a part of a product like the F1 happening again. I wasn't there when F1 launched, but Manmohan was, and I'm sure he can tell you the feeling of that launch. But I would definitely want to be a part of the next one. And when we have the right product, obviously we will
Obviously.
take it to
So,
the market.
I mean, the reason I think people are expecting for the successor for F1 is the bars it's set. I mean, it's like I mean, 2.5 years or a 2 years old mobile phone, still people are buying it. I mean, still people are buying it, and still it is in the recommendation list for many of in the tech community. So I think I definitely understand the fact that it is difficult to go over that bar to meet the expectations. So as you said, it's worth the wait. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Very nice to hear that people even after 2.5 years are actually looking out for the phone. It's once in a lifetime opportunity, and at the same time, it becomes so difficult to kind of meet that expectation.
Guys, I want to ask you another just a question. Like, I mean, the lockdown, we have all been sitting in the house, locked up in like four walls, doing all our work. So, I mean, obviously, we do our work, we do our work more than what we used to spend our time with. So, in this lockdown, did you learn anything new? Did you explore anything new?
Interesting.
I mean, a shameless plug here. I did new explore something new. Started a podcast.
Oh wow! Oh
It's in
wow!
Tamil podcast available in Spotify and Apple Podcast and Google Podcast. It's called Ennam Eduthu Karuthu, which means that thought, words, and your opinions. So that is something which I did and explored.
Yeah, personally, I started using some of the time I used to be stuck in traffic to get some exercise in. So, and the second part actually was part of that, where if I was doing a walk or a run in the morning, I started listening to more and more podcasts. So in a way, it just fits in properly.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh, but for me, I have a kid now who's now 2 years old, so I don't
Oh,
get
okay.
time at all. I don't get time at all. But yeah, I've been trying to crunch in some amount of exercises as such. But yeah, having a kid who is 2 years old is amazing time. Like just
Yeah,
amazing
and especially when the kid is locked up along with you in the same house, in the same room, I understand that feeling.
time. Thanks, man.
So, guys, I want to ask you another question, which has been like asked by many of the people. I mean, online, and people have been asking me also. Is there any plans for offline market for Poco? And a follow-up question is like, will Poco continue to launch in the flash sales model and then go on open sales, or trying to explore other ways of launching it? So offline market is more important because people are looking to buy the mobile phone. I mean, it's a wide market, right? Compared to online, it's a wider reach market. So any plans for that?
so offline market, obviously adds to the overall experience, and second, people can now touch and feel devices. Uh, this year, at least in 2020 and 2021, with COVID and everything else, uh, venturing into offline and asking people to come and check out those devices, I don't think would be right from our perspective. Uh, so, people can obviously come in, but I don't really expect, even if we had an offline presence, the footfalls will be much, much lower. Uh, The second part is we are a very small team with very limited resources to set an offline channel and set retail counters and all that takes a lot of money.
Mm.
Right now, at least we want to focus on getting the product right, ensuring that the consumers know about us. Then we will take a look at it.
Mm.
Uh, so these two things obviously are super important, and especially with COVID coming in, it just puts even more pressure on the retail part. The third aspect is from an availability perspective. I think with Flipkart, you have an extremely strong distribution network. Almost every part of the country, you can order and get it within a couple of days. Uh, you are assured of the delivery, the quality of the delivery, and everything else. Makes for a better experience. And the experience that we can control, because when you go to the Flipkart page, you get all the information from the brand.
Mm.
Uh, if we don't train the person at the retail counter properly, or if somebody else is selling our phones, you might not get the accurate information that you want. So that ways, at least in the starting phase, we probably have to focus on getting the online part done, getting the right product, and ensuring people know. I think most of the people outside of the tech world still don't know that there's a brand called Poco, uh, and that also has to be solved for.
Let me explain the supply situation, right? Whenever we think about launching a new product, there is always this phase of ramp up phase where you do a lot more quality checks to ensure whether the processes are right, whether the assembly is being done right, whether the end product is meeting the requirements which we have set for ourselves. The quality requirements, the quality standards that we at Poco has set for ourselves are really, really high, right? And people who are buying from us for the first time are actually eagerly looking out for us, whether the product is going to be good, bad, or not, right? So we need to be extremely careful in terms of how we are ensuring the product comes in the right quality, and hence the ramp up does take time. Maybe within, like, after the first few weeks, right? That time we kind of figure out, "Acha, this is the formula," and then we kind of get into a mass production through and through, and that's how we are able to ramp it up. Having said that, in today's world, we don't believe in this flash sale. To be honest, we don't believe in that. Like, customers have enough choices out there. We want to be as available as possible to ensure that you know customers, whenever they think about buying a product, we are always available. But unfortunately, to ensure that there are these boundary conditions also we have to meet. One is, of course, the ramp up. The second is quality constraints, and ensuring that we give the best experience possible.
Uh, Manmohan, you're a very vocal person on the social media. You talk a lot, and sometimes you give like statements which are like out of the world. But can you tell us like one thing about yourself, a secret which you haven't revealed to anyone else on the social media platform?
Oh, really? I don't know. I can dance a little.
Oh my God, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I can. I'm a decent enough dancer.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Anush, did you know about this?
I had no
No.
idea.
Oh, by the way,
Honestly, no idea.
actually I have to tell you one thing which is much more important, right? I'm a big Rajnikant fan.
Awesome, awesome. Taleva fan. Nobody can be
Of
like
course,
not a Taleva fan.
of course, man. Like, the whole world needs to be Talaiva fan. That's obvious, right?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anush, can you tell us something, some secret which you haven't told anyone? Of
That's
course, on social media only.
that's no longer a secret then, right?
Reveal it.
Let me also. So I'll not reveal the whole thing, but I'll probably just leave it as a hint, and people can guess. Uh, so I have a state level gold
Ah,
and a national level bronze in a particular sport. Now I just leave it at that, and
Wow.
you can
awesome.
guess what sport that is.
Cool. So that's a great hint. Definitely, I think our guys will find it out. One last question I want to ask you is about the segmentation, which Manmohan you talked about earlier, right? So earlier there was this F1, and then X series was there, X2, X3 were there, and then we came to M series, and now we are going for the C series. So this particular segment and this series is already dominated by so many players, especially if you see Redmi itself has got a host of mobile phones lined up in that series. And it's a very tough competition. It's like the most fierce competition happening here. So why do you think you will have to launch in this segment especially? And what have you got that the others haven't got to make this successful?
Sure. Interesting question. Let me kind of explain what our thought process has been this year, right? And this has been more of a revelation than actually what we planned for. What we found out was that Poco promise, which is everything you need, nothing you don't, which we thought that is only required by Poco F series phones, is actually required at or many people would want to kind of get that experience across different price ranges. Hence, we tried it with X series. We were very successful. Then M Pro, very successful, and now M series. Fortunately, God bless us, it's still going in the right direction, right? We think that, and hence the C series also will make a huge difference for us, right? That's number one. Number two, yes, this is definitely a huge competition out there. But at the same time, if you were supposed to be a new brand with taking the highest amount of volume, if you see, it is all below 10K. You cannot be perceived as an important brand in this industry if you don't have a smartphone in this segment, right? And hence, Poco C series is trying to solve that problem from a Poco standpoint. Now, to your last question, what is it that we are solving from a customer standpoint, right? We think that there is still a white space here, right? There is still a white space that needs to be solved for. And probably it's got to do with the current scenario as well. Firstly, a lot of people are consuming content, whether it is entertainment or more importantly, education through the smartphones. And the first access to any internet or information in today's world is through smartphone in this country, right? And Poco C series is specifically designed to solve that particular problem. Number one. Now, how are we doing this? Let me just take you through the Poco C3 itself. So for Poco C3, it comes with a 6.53-inch large HD plus screen, right? Think about this, right? And a person who is a student who's trying to kind of go through it, a 6-inch screen or a 5.6-inch screen will not actually be sufficient. A better display, a bigger display will help him to consume the content clearly. Just think about the days when you used to write formulas and kind of you'll have to kind of go deeper into the screen and then kind of understand it, right? So a 6.53-inch screen is definitely one of the things that we are using to solve for. Number two, a bigger battery and a long-lasting battery. This is something which we are bringing it for the very first time. We have a 5000 milliamp hour battery in Poco C3, but more importantly, we have something called Better Battery 2.0 on Poco C3.
Okay.
Right. What we are doing with this is that the life expectancy of this battery is just increased massively, right? That is going to help us help the phone last for a longer period of time, right? So this is something which we are doing with Poco C3. Number two. Number three, and lastly, my favorite features, the triple camera setup. The triple camera setup, we have a primary lens, of course, the depth for portrait, and lastly, even a macro lens. Now, in this current today's scenario, people are kind of in if they have to share their homework or their work with their teachers or with their friends, they can use these two, both the primary and the macro sensors to ensure that they are sharing this information with the rest. So we are pretty much trying to solve a problem with this device, which is Poco C3. Anuj, you would like to add some?
Right. I mean, I'm also thinking beyond just, obviously it's a great device, but one of the reasons why we wanted to launch it before the festive season is, under 10K right now, if you had to recommend a phone to a cousin or to some elderly people in your family, you will have to think twice, right? So I'm actually really confident on the Poco Clean experience that you get. The overall experience of using that phone, where you can just focus on the phone and there's no distractions to it, also will help in the overall, acceptance of this device. So a good device made even better because of the clean software.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that is something which has won the heart of many from the Poco for the Poco thing. So they really like the Poco launcher and a host of other experiences which it gets along. So I am sure that you guys will be successful with this product as well. So all the best to you. I mean, all the best to the entire team, and Anuj especially for joining in the Poco team.
Thanks.
I'm sure you will take it to greater heights. So thanks a lot for your valuable time and spending your time to interact with me and my subscribers.
Honored to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. ஸோ நண்பர்களை நீங்க கேட்டீங்க எல்லாரும். இப்போ வந்து அனுஜ் மற்றும் மன்மோகன் இவங்க வந்து நம்ம கிட்ட பேசினாங்க. ஸோ நீங்க கேட்டிருப்பீங்க நினைக்கிறேன். பல சுவாரஸ்யமான இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் எல்லாம் சொன்னாங்க. ஸோ இந்த சொன்ன இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் எல்லாமே உங்களுக்கு யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ இதே மாதிரி பல வீடியோஸ் தொடர்ந்து பாக்குறதுக்கு நம்ம சேனல் கிரிசோனா சீரிஸ் சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க. அடுத்த பதில் உங்களை மீண்டும் சந்திக்கும் வரை உங்களிடம் இருந்து விடைபெறுவது உங்கள் நண்பன் கிரிதர். வாழ்க தமிழ், வளர்க பாரதம். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.